I'm Olivia Millard, Director of Conservation Learning in the Chief Conservation Office of the Nature Conservancy. I'm here to talk to you about the history of conservation by design, which is the core conservation methodology for the Nature Conservancy. My hope is that this context will help you understand why conservation by design is so important to what we do here at the Nature Conservancy and to the contribution that we aim to make to a world where people and nature thrive. While conservation by design was first created in 1996, we can better understand its importance by retracing the Nature Conservancy's evolution as an organization. When the Nature Conservancy was established in 1951, our mission was quite simply to take direct action to save threatened natural areas. It was easy to measure our impact in those days by tallying up acres saved and dollars raised. However, as our vision expanded and we in our work grew, we also expanded our scope. The Nature Conservancy started out by working at the site scale. However, through our work, we learned that protecting individual tracts of land wasn't enough. We needed to raise our sites. Initially, we broadened our focus to bioreserves, which were at a landscape scale. For example, this might include an entire watershed rather than a single river or lake. However, these landscapes were still protected in isolation from each other, and goals were set for within those landscapes without reference to what was being done elsewhere. Next came ecoregions, which are large geographic areas delineated by climate, geography, and physiography. Ecoregional plans still focused on biodiversity, but for the first time, we started looking across boundaries and developing portfolios of sites to protect viable populations of rare species and characteristic natural communities, creating what we called regional blueprints for conservation success. Finally, we broadened our scope once again to encompass whole systems. Rather than an expansion of scale, this was an acknowledgement that complete systems include protected and populated areas, people as well as nature. We began to explicitly incorporate people into our planning framework in 2016. This is when we began focusing on systems change, shifting the social, economic, political, and cultural systems that comprise and sustain a socio-ecological system. Before we look at how the Nature Conservancy is working today, let's go back to the 1990s, when we had just made the shift to ecoregional planning. The Nature Conservancy had been steadily growing over the years, and by this point it had become clear that we needed a unifying methodology to guide our growing impact as well. We needed something that could address key challenges and questions such as, how can we best identify and prioritize the most critical places for conservation? How can we design effective, evidence-based strategies in large, complex systems? This led to the creation of Conservation by Design in 1996. The original Conservation by Design laid out a very practical, straightforward, adaptive management process for identifying the biodiversity that needed to be conserved, deciding where and how to conserve it, acting on those decisions, and measuring our effectiveness. Through Conservation by Design, we now had an organizational framework that became our organizational identity. We also had a consistent approach and common language that we could use everywhere we worked. In 1998, a global program called the Ephraimson Coaches Network, after the donor who made it possible, was created at the Nature Conservancy in response to requests from all over the world for training on how to use this new methodology. The methodology that it set forth was adopted by partners too. This led to the foundation of the Conservation Coaches Network, or CCNet, in 2009. Today, CCNet is a network of more than 830 coaches from 260 organizations, including the Nature Conservancy, in 75 countries. CCNet helps distribute the conservation community's best tools and strategies freely around the world. Conservation by Design also helped inform the creation of the open standards for the practice of conservation, which are now managed by the Conservation Measures Partnership, of which TNC is a member. You can learn more about the conservation standards and the Conservation Coaches Network at conservationstandards.org. When the Nature Conservancy created Conservation by Design in 1996, it was intended to be a living document. This means that over the years, we have continued to update it to incorporate emerging best practices utilized by the broader conservation community, as well as key learnings from our own experience. The Nature Conservancy's mission today to conserve the lands and waters on which all life depends reflects these learnings, and so do our goals. In 2021, the Nature Conservancy introduced our 2030 goals, our ambitious conservation targets for the year 2030, to help address the growing biodiversity and climate crises. We knew we needed a more substantial update to Conservation by Design to meet those goals, achieve our mission, and strengthen our commitment to equitable conservation. So we embarked on a 3-year comprehensive review of and update to Conservation by Design. This was a One Conservancy process with significant input from staff across the Nature Conservancy. In 2024, we launched the new resources online at conservationbydesign.org. Our aim is that this new version will enable teams to develop or improve more impactful and equitable strategies that increase the Nature Conservancy's likelihood of achieving the 2030 goals. Conservation by Design continues to guide all of our conservation work here at the Nature Conservancy. We will also continue to improve these resources over time as part of our commitment to ongoing learning through implementation. The feedback of our users is critical to that learning. We invite you to visit conservationbydesign.org to learn more, engage with the Conservation by Design resources and community, and share your experiences with putting Conservation by Design into practice. Thanks for watching.